faster than you. Saw you coming, you fucking shitheel. I'm standing here, you make the move. You make the move, it's your move. Huh? Try it, you fucking... You talking to me? You talking to me? You talking to me? Who the hell else you talking to me? Well, I'm the only one here. Who the fuck do you think you're talking to, huh? Okay, huh? Huh? I don't know. I can't.
No, that's great. I like that.
It just mostly sounds like I typed out everything he said, and it's just huh, faster than you.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
You can't handle the truth. King Kong ain't got shit on me. I am the third revolution.
I am so much crazier than you.
I am the one who knocks.
Go ahead. Make my day.
Best thing, big boy, huh? That's private fucking.
Everybody on? Good. Great. Grand. Wonderful.
Welcome to Facing Off. And listen, you fuckers, you screwheads. This is a podcast where we take two movies we find to be similar in some way and we compare, contrast, and rate them. I'm Gabe Siegel, and I'm running for president to clean these streets of their disgusting filth. And this is my sign-swinging clown of a co-host, Nick.
Thanks.
What's up, Nick?
Thanks for that.
And with us as our special guest is young Batman himself, Master Bruce Wayne, Kane Holloway.
Dude, that's really funny that you chose that as my intro, Gabe, because that was my first job ever, waving signs. Not as a clown.
Oh. No, you were a clown.
Not as a disillusioned
in
clown.
an alleyway?
Okay. No, I got honked at by like really angry old men when I was like 14. People are mean.
Oh, that's hot.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
hot.
That's exactly the word that I would have used to describe it.
Kane Holloway,
Yeah.
LA's #1 comedian.
That's true.
Huge podcaster. He's just killing it with his podcast. I think you have like another one coming in too. He's got 2 podcasts right now. Well, actually, which we have both been on. And Don't Take Bullshit from Fuckers.
Don't take bullshit from fuckers, everybody.
Which is hilarious, and like a lot of the conversation is like really inspirational too. I love that podcast.
Thank you.
And you guys are killing it.
Thank you very, very
Thank you
much.
for coming back on, man.
I love this show. I love that you guys do this show. So I couldn't be happier to be on. And also, like, to talk about 2 great movies, or however you feel about one of these movies. I have a feeling that Gabe doesn't like Joker. I have a feeling.
Oh, interesting. All right. Well, we'll see, man.
We have a prediction.
I thought I had a good conversation with you about it beforehand, but you know what? I guess all my opinions are trash, and you just hate me.
Not necessarily, because here's the thing: is it's weird that you and I are so friendly, movie-wise. Like,
yeah, because we're.
Yeah, you and I have became good friends through the course of talking about movies. Yet not one movie have we agreed on. I don't think.
Yeah, it's so funny because, like, I think when I first met you, like, I was like, oh my God, he watches all the same movies. He's like crazy about movies. And we would talk about all of them and we had all the same opinions. You know, there were like I didn't really like Mad Max, but that was like the only one. And then I won't get you started on that. I enjoy it now.
Shut up.
Wait until we do the Mad Max podcast when I shit all over it and give it a fucking 2 in acting. But no, since then, Kane and I, like, anytime there's a movie, I am berating him over text over his opinion.
So angry.
It's not even him doing it to me.
No. I'll get like.
Well, anyways.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
When you talk about movies with Kane, do you lay on your stomach on your bed with your feet up behind you?
They're like
moving?
behind me, kind of flapping around, and I'm like, oh my God, he just sent me another text. And then I'm like, God, I hate this guy. The stuff he puts me through, I'm just never going to accept him again.
Well, today's 2 movies are Taxi Driver and Joker, which are 2 movies about disillusioned loners. So that's what we got.
And we're all doing this individually.
Yep.
We're all
Yeah.
alone
All alone.
with our
alone.
scribbles that we put in our notebooks about both of these movies about loners.
Yeah,
Did you guys?
I have to make mine into real typed text because I can't read my own
so
handwriting.
unlike these movies. Yeah, Nick, whenever you want, hit us with the synopses of these.
Okay, you got it. Wow. That was a good one. Taxi Driver is the story of Travis Bickle, a Vietnam War veteran and loner who gets a job as a New York taxi driver. Titular. Travis agrees to drive to all parts of New York, including the most seedy areas, but here's the thing, Travis hates people and society, especially the people and society in New York. And he makes this clear through his narration and his journal writing. His driving and his constant visits to porno theaters serve to fuel his hatred of society and its shortcomings. He begins to stalk a political pollster named Betsy, who agrees to go on a date with the odd but endearing Travis. She entertains his eccentricities until he takes her to a porno flick on their first real date. Travis tries to win her back, but fails.
Where else are you gonna go?
Yeah, where else? It's just a normal movie. I don't understand. These are movies I always go to. But he fails and falls further into his isolation. He fails to rescue a pleading young prostitute named Iris from the clutches of her pimp, whose name is Sport. Which is just so...
Or Matthew.
Yeah.
or Sport, yeah.
Dude, he is so cut in that
Dude,
movie.
he is.
Oh my god.
Keitel
He looks
is
like-
not one to fuck with.
No, he looks like
No.
Tommy
Hell
Wiseau,
no.
too.
Oh yeah.
He then begins to fixate on Iris and tries to save her from her lifestyle, but she refuses. Travis buys a few guns and starts to plan the assassination of the presidential candidate that Betsy polls for. When his attempt fails, he 180s and decides to take out Iris's pimp in a bloody standoff that he barely survives. Iris has returned to her family and Travis is a hero. The film ends as Travis is fair for the night as Betsy, and he comps her ride, driving off and suddenly becoming agitated by something off screen. Though Travis is a hero in the papers, he is still a loose cannon and a loner with questionable moral standing. Joker
Wow.
is the story of Arthur Fleck, a literal clown and a loner who lives with his mother in New York. Arthur struggles with a cadre of mental illnesses, including a compulsive laugh, that we learn later is probably the result of childhood trauma and head injury. It's not funny. After being offered a gun by a coworker and dropping that gun in a child's hospital wing while clowning, Arthur kills 3 street bros that confront him. Wall Street bros. That's
I feel
important.
like Gabe knows all those guys too, by the way.
Yeah, they're all just
Yeah, they all went to law school with me.
They're all just, it's just 3 different parts of Gabe's personality. And Arthur
Yeah.
kills all 3 of them in a
Hey, dude,
subway
send in the clowns.
on his way home. As he continues a steamy but inexplicable relationship with a neighbor, it's not really real. We learn that Arthur's probation officer is unable to provide him with his medication any longer. About this time, Arthur also learns that he might be Bruce Wayne's brother.
Wait, probation officer?
Is it not a probation officer? What is that person?
She's like a social worker for the state
Yeah.
that helps her
Got
with
it.
mental
Yeah,
health.
yeah.
That.
But I think it is state mandated
gotta be
after
state
he
mandated.
leaves. Yeah, after he leaves our.
Well, anyways,
whatever
they cut the
place he's at.
funding because, of course, they do, and he doesn't get in his medication. Right around that time, he learns he might be Bruce Wayne's brother and thus the son of a mayoral candidate named Thomas Wayne. This incenses Fleck, who eventually punches the elder Wayne in the face when he confronts Fleck for visiting little Bruce. Fleck attempts stand-up comedy and fails miserably because he's very, very mentally ill. The video goes viral, and Fleck is invited to his idol, late-night talk show host Murray Franklin's show. After Fleck kills his mother, who may have made up the Wayne connection in a bout of her own mental illness, he goes full Joker, dresses up like a suave clown, kills his coworker, then kills Murray on live television. The political unrest in the city comes to a boiling point with Joker as the guest of honor. Fleck revels in his celebrity as Thomas Wayne is shot dead in front of his son, Bruce. We end the movie with Fleck in a mental hospital, killing again, this time a nurse, that rascal. That's the end.
Yeah, great synopses. It's actually kind of funny because on paper, yes, technically that all happened in each movie, but a lot of that is up for interpretation.
Right. I don't
Which
think
is
it's
so cool
okay, yeah.
about both of these movies. No, I mean, and that'll be an
We'll
interesting point of
debate that.
conversation.
That's part of the conversation.
Yeah, and honestly, both of these movies, we usually talk about why we're doing these 2 movies after this and what their common bridge is. Beyond the fact that they are very similar, and Joker may have been, Todd Phillips paying homage to Martin Scorsese. They're like both perfect movies of like what quarantine is doing to my brain right now.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
that's not
and
good.
so, yeah, I'm slowly losing it, and isolation is a hell of a drug, dude.
Yeah.
Loneliness and isolation, hell of a drug. Yeah, Kane, why are you excited to do these two movies?
Well, I'm glad that I mean, you know me very well movie-wise to ask me to do these two. One, I'm a comic book fan, and two, I'm also like I try not to go down movie snob road. Like I try not to be the actually guy that's like, meh, meh, meh. But this is actually a perfect.
Whoa, titular to your podcast.
Yeah, but this is a perfect combo. I do love that there's a lot of. I do love that they share very similar things, and through watching them and learning about both movies is that that they're both inspired by other movies. So like Taxi Driver is inspired by The Searchers, and it's a very similar thing. And then there's this Western motif, whereas and then Todd Phillips made the genius move by going, well, look, a lot of independent movies aren't getting seen anymore. It's the big blockbuster event. I think it's time that how do I do a character study piece and have it get seen, and then he decides to recreate it with Joker. I think, and I love that that Joker is a comic book movie that homages to Taxi Driver, and Taxi Driver is a present day piece, like in that time period, but it homages back to westerns. So it's.
Yeah, that's such a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, couldn't have said it better. So let's actually break these two movies down now. You know our rating scale. We do 1 to 7, 1 being lowest, 7 being highest, 4 being middleist or average or neutral. We have 5 categories for y'all: actoring, originality, spectacularity, eye candy, and legacy. Let's kick things off with actoring. Actoring is a category where we talk about the performances and how good the actors were, and if the writers and directors gave them the tools that they needed to perform at the best of their abilities. How believable were they? Kane, why don't you... Wait, actually, Nick. Later, Kane. Nick, why don't you start with Taxi Driver, actoring?
All right. I gave it a 7. I think.
Whoa! Coming out the gate, dude.
I mean, I gave both of them a 7. Honestly, if I'm just gonna spoil
okay.
them.
Way to fucking spoil it.
I like doing that for this one.
Yeah.
I like that Taxi Driver lets you really see Travis Bickle. Like there are very few scenes that don't focus on him, and they don't really explain. Hardly at all his trauma and why he is the way he is. He's just like, he's a vet and he's a loner, and they just let you see him for that. And I really think that De Niro's performance is the thing from this movie, because this is the first time that I've seen this movie, is the thing that I'm going to remember from this movie is just De Niro. And that's what I was glued on to, was him. And I don't think everybody else is great. I don't think there was no one in the movie that was like a black spot for me. Jodie Foster is amazing.
Yeah, that brings it down. She is really
I guess,
good.
I forget her last name. Sybil
Shepard.
Yeah,
I guess she was a pain in the ass on set.
Sure.
Like she couldn't remember her lines and stuff. I read that in IMDb, but it didn't show. And Albert Brooks is great,
No,
too.
she was really good. She didn't even have that many lines. What a loser.
I know. She couldn't remember.
Yeah, Cam, what about you for acting with Taxi Driver?
7 for me as well. But, I mean, I fell in love. The first time I saw Taxi Driver, I fell in love with Sybil Shepherd, like, right away.
Yeah.
My God. She is a babe. She seems really fun. Her character, Betsy... I don't know about Sybil Shepherd, the person, but Betsy, the character, seems like a really fun person, and I could understand why Travis wants to be with her. Travis sees from afar how fun she is, the way she interacts with Albert Brooks and how flirtatious she is when he rolls in, and it's like, yeah, I could see Travis falling in love with her from afar. and then fall even more in love with her during the course of their pie and coffee date. Like,
Yeah.
she's a good
Right.
conversationalist. She's great. And then his inability to act when when Iris rolls into his cab and do something about it, fuels that fire in him to now interact with this different woman to save this different woman, and her just sitting there going like, "Listen, guy, I chose this. I don't need you."
Yeah.
So
She's like, I was high. Like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
I smoked a doobie.
yeah, I wanted to get in your cab, and why didn't you react? I always like how Travis is like, you're being a shithead. Like, you think I'm square, you're square, and it's like, yeah, but when you had a chance to do something,
Yeah.
you just sat in your thumbs like an idiot.
Yeah, right. It's like too late later. Yeah. Instead of just helping her when you're in a taxi cab, instead you just murder a bunch of people in front of her and forever scar her for life and make her homeless.
Yeah. And then Scorsese's small scene is really, really good.
So good.
Really good.
You should see what a 44 Magnum could do to a woman's pussy. That you should see. Dude, he's like, he looks like David Krumholtz in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love when he's like, put the meter down. Did I say to put the meter? Put it down. Put it down. He's like really struggling. He's like, I'll pay whatever I have to pay. What are you doing? Just like Scorsese is a secret great actor.
Yeah, he's amazing. This and Shark Tale.
Yeah, Shark. Yes. Shark
He's
Tale.
so good at
He
it.
is good in Shark Tale.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, those are great points. I am going to be slightly below you guys, which I guess is a little weird. It's not my favorite De Niro. I think he's amazing in it. I think, like, especially one of my, like, favorite scenes with him is when he's fucking with the Secret Service guy. Kind of like, he's, like, really funny in this movie, which I didn't remember him being that funny, but he's, like, so goofy about everything. And the guy's, like, being, like, almost sincere, like, just give me your address. He's like, oh, yeah? You're going to give me, like, it's really good. It's interesting to see how charming he is at first. Like, he's really believably charming, even though he's immediately an unlikable character in the movie, but he's still got this charm. And then he, botches the entire thing, like, instantly after their date by taking her to a porn movie and being so, like, I don't fully understand. No, I'll talk about that later. I love the Mohawk. The Mohawk reveal, like, is so amazing.
Oh
like,
my
what a
God.
great moment. And then, like, just watching him in the crowd is just amazing, like, engaging acting. Yeah, like, his clapping and, like, I don't know. He's great. He definitely carries the movie. I think everyone's good. I think, especially the year that it came out, there were better acting ensembles. Like, there was, like, Network and All the President's Men, and even, like, Rocky has, like, really, really powerful acting performances. So I just felt like it's well above average. It's an iconic role.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really, like, it's not like my favorite. And even though Jodie Foster, one of the best child actors ever, and Harvey Keitel with just like a legendary performance, I think it was like Harvey Keitel and Drexel Spivey. If I could just see a spin-off movie with them, I would love that.
What a great combo.
I mean, is there anyone in the
Dude.
movie that brings it down for you? Or do you
No,
think
no,
that
I don't
De
think-
Niro's performance is a 6 out of 7?
I think it's like De Niro's performance is almost a 7. I don't think anyone else is spectacular. Like 7 is reserved for movies where I'm like completely blown away by the acting, and I don't really feel like I was with De Niro to a level to bring it up.
Okay, you're
Even
wrong,
though-
but you're wrong though. So
Okay, that's fine. All right, well, let's talk about Joker. Because I gave Joker the same.
You gave it a
gave it a
6?
six.
You gave Joker a 6?
No, but listen to me, because I think
my
it's
God.
like, technically speaking, if I was just talking about Joaquin Phoenix,
Sure.
it would be like my 6 is actually a 6.5. I just don't do half scores. Like, he is amazing in it.
why the
He
why the
was-
half down?
I don't think there's enough great performances around him. No one is bad. No one is. I think Frances Conroy, his mom, is really good. Like, she's one of the better roles in it. but I don't like Zazie Beetz is fine in it. You know, she does her role really, like, she does it well. I think Brian Tyree Henry is like low key one of the better actors in it, and he's only in like 5 minets of it.
Yeah, he's really good in a lot of things he does. He's my favorite part of Widows, and I hate Widows.
Yeah. Oh, oh God. Well, don't fucking. You don't think Daniel Kaluuya is the best part of Widow? Dude, don't. Fuck you. Don't get mad at my 6 and then come on my podcast.
Dude, 6 is such a slap in the face to both movies. First of all.
No, I don't think it is.
Yes.
He won the award, but like the rest of it isn't.
The mom.
All right, go ahead.
I love her, and I love how she's. And then the younger version of her, the girl they picked to be the young mom in the mental ward, she's doing a great job of trying to hold it together in her eyes when they're like, we found your son beaten and tied to a radiator, and she's like, he was so quiet, he's just always been a happy kid, and you can see this like lost pain in her eyes that she's just trying to remove from herself. The guy that the dude that plays Thomas Wayne, I always figured he's a
really good character actor.
Yeah, I always figured he was a version of Trump. Like I always kind of got Trump-like vibes from the guy.
He's like Reagan to me. Like, he's like kind of a little more confident and like smart, and cunningly low-key evil, kind of like Reagan was. Sorry to all of our like diehard Reagan fans. Fuck you. No, I mean, I actually, that guy's in Dark Knight Rises as well, right? He's the one who gets kidnapped.
Yeah,
by
he
Anne
is.
Hathaway.
Oh, holy shit, that's right.
Yeah. Which is so funny that but he's a great character actor.
Yeah.
I will say, a criminal misuse and like underuse of Shea Wiggum and Bill Camp, like 2 of the best character actors ever.
They're totally misused, but I don't think that's a reason to give it a 6. I think that Joaquin Phoenix's performance alone,
6 is good.
It's good, but like, dude, I mean, come on.
Yeah, come on. I mean, 6 is good.
I thought Joaquin Phoenix was amazing. Like
then give it a 7.
If either him or Adam Driver had won, I would have been super happy. So I was glad that he won it. But like, I don't know. Nick, explain. Do you have more to your take, or is it just Joaquin Phoenix is a good actor?
It's just Joaquin Phoenix. I mean, just like the things that he, the way that I mean, he transforms his body, and he's just like, he paints this. He's like painting, but with a character, and it's amazing what he like manages to pull off.
That's a cool way to put it.
In this movie, and it's so like viscerally his like I like Joker. I don't love the movie Joker. I love Joaquin Phoenix's performance in the movie because he set out to like make a character that wasn't likable or dislikable, and he just like hits this sweet spot of like, oh yeah, like I feel bad for him. He's traumatized as a kid and like definitely has like a brain injury and all these mental illnesses, but like, still, like he's really the worst, you know? It's like, you have this like turmoil watching him within yourself. And like, there are very few performances that do that. Like him, De Niro to an extent in Taxi Driver, but very, very few other performances manage to pull that off.
Dude, probably my favorite scene is the one where he like kills what's the guy's name? He's like amazing HBO actor who plays the Yellow King in True Detective.
Yeah.
When he kills him, Yellow King guy. When he kills, that's just everything about his performance when he kills him and then is fucking with the little person afterwards.
I love that so much. It's funny.
But it's like, it's even like when he's like holding on to the ceiling and listening to him and he goes, yeah. And then he just stabs him. I mean, I love that.
It's
I love when
crazy, isn't it? I'm going to be on the telly. It's just mocking him.
I'm going to be on the telly. Oh my God, dude. And then the lock. No, I mean, fine. I'll give it a fucking 7. My issue is not him. I think it's one of the best performances of the last decade. It was so good. I just don't think, like, I think the other people around him could have been really, really good.
Right, but I also don't think it's their people around him
Place,
that need to set him
Like
up.
tether it. Yeah. Yeah.
They need to
Okay.
Yeah, they need to be around him, and he needs to react to how they treat him. And how I think one of the two best moments come at the beginning of the movie. Just watching Joaquin's face. He's on the bus, and the little kid is looking at him, and so he starts to
Such a good scene too.
he just starts to mess around and make the kid laugh. It's a long bus ride. Life's hard enough.
Yeah.
Let's just try and make a child laugh. And then the mom turns and says, "Will you stop bothering my kid?" That moment where he takes a quick moment to be like, "Wait a minute, but I wasn't doing anything. I was actually trying to help." And then when he goes to explain himself, she yells at him again, "Just stop." And then he has to take another second because he knows it's coming. That awkward, uncomfortable feeling
his laugh
is going to make him burst into laughter. And I love that scene. And then the other scene I love is after he gets called into the boss's office. And
oh, so good.
and he's like, "Why would I steal that guy's sign?" And it's like, why would anybody do anything? And as that guy's explaining how Arthur's going to pay him back or pay back the sign dude, he fades out, and Arthur is using every ounce of energy he has to put a smile on his face. And it's one of the creepiest looking smiles you'll ever see a person put on.
I love, and the music like lingers in on him too. That is great. That one other one that I fucking love is when he's like, "Oh, forgot to punch out." Bam, bam. And then he starts like hitting the. I was like, I remember watching that and I was like, "Oh fuck, here we go. This is crazier than I expected."
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7. Fuck both of you.
Awesome.
Let's move on to no, good arguments. All right, and so we had no technical difficulties at all, and we are back, and we are going to do spectacularity next.
Whoa.
Do it.
This is a category where we talk about the engagement level of the movie and whether you were distracted by its runtime or you were pleasantly engaged or on the edge of your seat the whole time. Let's start with Joker since we are already on it. This is where I think I have... Why?
This is what? This is when? This is who? This is why?
Okay, so here's the thing.
Uh-oh.
The movie starts with garbage everywhere. Super rats are abundant. And a deeply depressed and unsettled lead character gets beaten up for no reason. I'm not joking. I am in, baby. You have locked me into a movie. Like I that kind of opening is how I get locked in. I like depressing movies. I like really cynical things.
All right.
And it's awesome that he was already like they tell you early on that he was locked up before before we even meet him, which is great. I wasn't expecting that. The movie's not too long. It's only 2 hours. There's never a dull moment. There are a couple things in it, and I think this is more. This goes in spectacularity for me usually, which is like score. The score is beautiful, like absolutely incredible score by Hildur Göransson or something. She's the celloist.
I think it's cellist.
Yeah, she's the cellist on Sicario.
I like celloist.
I like jelloist, actually, the best.
We'll call
she's the celloist on in Sicario and in a bunch of other things, and she won best score for Joker, which is kind of crazy to think like that's one of the awards that it won. I do think like maybe the score is overly manipulative in terms of like the tone of the movie.
Boo.
Like every scene, it's like, hey man, this is really fucking dark. This is really sad, and it can't be anything else because we're forcing you to feel that way because of the sound.
I don't love.
And I have an issue with that, but it's a great score.
Yeah.
Like, and it works for the movie. I think there are moments where I'm like, I could see someone joking about this movie being too serious.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Until it isn't.
I don't
Sorry.
love when movies, like, just to piggyback off of what you're saying, I don't love when the score of a movie is like, this is the climax. This is the
like just increase the
end of
sound
the
and
movie.
shit.
I mean, the ending of the movie, the whole last, like, I don't even know what it is, 30 minutes, 25 minutes, like the whole through the Murray. No, even before that, pretty much when he's off of his medication until the end is like a roller coaster drop. Like, it is
basically
it is
when
awesome.
he kills the Wall Street guys and on from that, it's just
See,
like,
I think there's a little bit of a lull in there. I gave it a 6.
yeah.
Did you?
Yeah,
you
I gave it a
say-
6 as
Oh,
well.
you did. Okay. I'm like,
Yeah.
I teetered between a 5 and a 6.
Same with me.
But I wanted to make a distinction, so I gave it a 6.
Interesting.
I do agree with you. I don't love that the end is like, this is the climax, and the song is going to tell you that it is. It's not my favorite thing. It is manipulative, but.
Oh, I was actually also thinking about like how, because you do this. And Kane, let us know if you like agree with this. But like sometimes with spectacularity, sometimes it could be a little bit more objective. Like when I'm wondering how everyone perceives this movie, I can see parts of it being.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say, and I agree.
I just I can
on.
see a lot of people taken out of the movie when he dances. Like, and I love the dancing. I think it's like an incredible like idea of him like transforming into himself and feeling free. Like, I think it's beautiful, but there are a lot of people that are like, I don't know. This is like kind of a little too weird.
Really
like,
appeals
it's
to Tai Chi enthusiasts.
yeah. I don't know. What do you think, Kane?
Well, so I think Heath Ledger is the reason Joaquin Phoenix's Joker dances. By that I
interesting.
mean Heath Ledger kind of embodied a Joker that a lot of people even wish exists, because he's so.
Oh, ew.
Yeah, he's fully formed and understands his beliefs, which
The world,
which
yeah,
which
his
is
place,
which is
yeah.
nothing, right? And he's willing to
Yeah.
he's willing to die to prove a point.
Yeah.
People like guys like that. Plus, Heath Ledger also was like, all right, I'm gonna have long hair. It's gonna be stringy. My makeup's gonna be all fucked up. Some of it's gonna be on my hands. I'm gonna do like twitchy things. I'm gonna have scars. I'm gonna lick my lips. You know, I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna talk. Sometimes it's gonna.
So
it'll
you're
be in a
saying
growl.
Joaquin Phoenix is a hack, and I should change my score from a 7 to a 3?
You should change it to a 0. Joaquin Phoenix can eat a dick. No, I think, but they needed to distinguish between Jokers. Like the greatest
Oh, good point.
The greatest
Yeah.
thing about Joker, the character, is that even the worst performance, there's something that the actor is trying to do, so where that guy can live in any Gotham, that character can live in any point in time. They can bring him back, and then we could see a Joaquin Phoenix Joker, and that Joaquin Phoenix Joker can have a Batman. He could fight a Batman.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so Joker is anything. Joker's anything they want it to be.
I dare you to imagine a scenario in which Jared Leto's Joker can exist anywhere, though.
Oh, fuck him. I hate him so much.
I'm gonna
I
do it.
actually, so my point isn't really like, is the dancing necessary?
Yes.
Because I actually, like, I think it is
Yeah.
thematically necessary, and I think it's also character-wise necessary, like you're saying, to differentiate.
Well,
I could just understand how people could be pulled out and distracted by it.
No,
you know?
the first thing we see him doing is dancing. That's the very first thing he's doing. He's dancing, and he's like, look, all right, I'm a clown, and I'm bringing happiness to the world like I think I'm supposed to. Here's me dancing, right? The next time we see him as a clown, he's dancing, right? Then after that, he's still in the clown makeup. He kills those two guys, and then he's locked in that room, and then he starts. Then you think like, I didn't know where the movie was gonna go. I didn't know if Todd Phillips knew what he was doing with Joker. I really didn't.
Right.
I was stoked to see it, but I was like, is he just trying to make a serious movie? I wasn't ready to believe in it, so I didn't know what he was doing. So what I thought was gonna happen, because when I watch a movie, I get really engaged and I forget about what could happen. what I thought was going to happen is he kills those guys, he locks himself in that bathroom, and then he's regretful. He's actually filled with pain, and he's like, now what? Like, what am I going to do? In panic. But instead, he feels so good, he starts dancing.
It's like moving through him.
Yeah, he's like, this is a reason to dance right here. Like these other two, I dance, and I like to do it, but it's also a facade. This version of dancing is me being me. And then the dancing gets even more brazen. He's dancing on the stairs when he's Joker, but he's still Arthur. He's not Joker yet. He's only Joker after he's on the Murray Franklin show, and then he kills Murray, and as soon as he kills Murray, he gets up and he does a dance, and then he fucking bounces.
Yeah, I love when he does that dance.
He dances on the cop car. I mean, that's...
Yeah, no, and the thing is, so I do think that there is, even if it's distracting for some people, the weirdness of it could potentially rope you in further into the movie. Like, I'd be like, I remember for me, I was like, what the fuck? I'm so much more interested in what's happening. This guy is like beyond a level of insanity that I expected.
Yeah, what's your read on why he dances, Gabe? So that was Kane's read. Mine
so
is
that was
totally
so. I was going to talk about that in Originality. For me, it's like, I mean, obviously he was doing it to set himself apart as an actor, but the character, it more feels like he's freeing himself. He's trying to, like, it's like they do this thing with his back early on. Like, he looks like he's morphing into something else. He's like the character in Split without, like, telling us that he's the character in Split, like the character in Split does. You know, like,
for a second, I thought you were talking about the movie Splice, which is very different.
But like, I think it's that he's transforming and he's free, and it's like him like understanding himself. Like, it's almost like an interpretive movement is what he's doing.
That's sort of like what I thought it was like his way of coping. Like, that's just how he feels.
That could be it too.
Like how he works through his messed up emotions that he has to deal with. Like, this second time around, I was taken out of it a bit by his dancing, and I almost gave it a 5, but I decided to give it a 6 because I do think it's not 100% locking you in the whole time, to me, but it's pretty close.
But what about
what brought it up?
What about when he's dancing with the gun?
Oh, that is one of my favorite scenes, and he accidentally shoots it. And so I was at a 5 too, because I was trying to be like objective to a certain degree, and then I was like, even being objective, then there are so many scenes where your heart is just racing. No matter how many times you've seen the movie, your heart rate is just fucking jacked. Mm-hmm. When he kills, I don't think the Wall Street guys scene is believable. I think it's like a little too absurd, but when he kills them, it's amazing.
Yeah, you
like,
don't expect him to just pop.
And when he's fucking with the last guy too, with the door, the murder of his coworker, like I said, is like one of the, like, if I was talking about most engaging scenes of last year, it was like, that's up there for me with the like Marriage Story fight, like the big fight that they have in the apartment mixed with this apartment scene is like thinking about, like, that's why they were the two big actors last year with Leo, you know, with his trailer scene as well.
Oh,
it's like a fucking momentary blow up. Even when you know it's coming, it's so like nuanced and weird. And I think like that helps the engagement level. It keeps you like locked in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Totally.
I don't know. What'd you give it, Kane?
I gave it a 7 because, I mean, I'm a sucker.
Oh, shit.
I'm a sucker for superhero movies, but I mean, I just everything about the transformation into, one of the things that really pushes it over the top was these misdirects. Like, at any point in time, you could hate the movie for what choices it's about to make with the character. So so his crazy mom tells him that that he's Thomas Wayne's son. Come to find out, there's Bruce. So they might be brothers, and right away I'm like, that better not be what's happening now. That's a fucking horrible idea. Horrible idea. And then it's not. because the whole point of the Joker is you don't know who the Joker is, and what clinches it is that he's not even Arthur Fleck. He's a dumpster baby found on the street.
Yeah.
He's nobody. And I'm like, good.
Well,
great job. Very good.
I still think that I think Todd Phillips puts in there purposefully that it's possible that his dad is still Thomas Wayne because of the photo. Like, his mom might have written on the back of the photo, but it's at least, like, it's believable to me that a politician, rich guy, or not politician, like potential politician, but like super rich guy would do something like that and then try to convince him and his mom that they're the freak show assholes when he's the one who did it. I don't think it's like necessarily set, but I think that they give you just that little tiny sliver of ambiguity is like enough. That's also a part that like keeps me engaged.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, we have been talking way too long about Joker, but you gave it a 7, Kane.
Yes.
Nick and I both gave it a 6. Let's talk about spectacularity with Taxi Driver, which is also a very engaging movie, but not for everyone.
You lead off, Kane. Unless you don't want to.
No, I gave it a 7. Initially, I don't.
What the fuck is gonna go on here?
Initially, I didn't like the score, and it was like taking me out like that. Do 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 do.
Oh, I took the same note. It got so repetitive.
Yeah,
I wanted to kill myself.
Yeah, people like that, but what I know, but as I was like, it was annoying to me, and I feel like it's kind of intentionally annoying. Like, it wants you to be annoyed because that it's this like ease moment of Travis being in this tranquil state where he's like, okay, everything's sort of fine, and Travis is kind of figuring his shit out. So you're like, cool. He's not in any kind of rush to get to a murder rampage. And then I noticed that fucking jazz note would fade away and it only like really came back at the end when we find out that Travis is an accidental hero.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, there's a big purpose to that track.
Or is he?
He is.
I know what you're gonna say.
No, I've read into this too, and like it's too the end is too unbelievable to be fully real.
But it's what the writer of the movie said happens.
Oh, I didn't know Paul Schrader said that. I don't interpret it that way because it's too ridiculous. Like, that almost makes me not like the ending.
But again, you're wrong. So
well, fine, okay. No, I don't necessarily think that. There's been like times where some writer has said that, and like, I honestly make it more clear if you're gonna not leave it up for interpretation.
Well, that's fair. Why don't you go first? Before me.
Okay, but I think it's really engaging because of Travis Bickle. I think like his personality and the range of his personality keeps you interested. I think the problem with this movie in terms of spectacularity and engagement for most people, and even for me rewatching it, because this was probably the third time I've seen it. There's a lot of him roaming around like as an insomniac in the city. And I think that that's good filmmaking, but I don't think that that's necessarily the most like spectacular. Like I'm not fully engaged in those scenes, even though you're getting a glimpse into his mind, but I kind of don't like when there's like a reliance on narration for that. And that's what you're getting in those kind of scenes, even though it's good. Also, like, he's like, I don't know if it's like necessarily a bad thing. I actually kind of like it, but he's so fucking clueless at the beginning that I don't even like his character choices. I don't even fully get what kind of character he is. Like, he thinks the streets are filthy, but he goes to porn theaters. Like,
yeah,
that's the most filthy place.
He's a walking
like,
contradiction.
Yeah, I guess because he's so not self-aware to the point where he's like hitting on the girl at the theater and he's like mad at her for not talking to him. He's like, you're a sick, depraved loser at a fucking porn theater, which is great. I mean, the acting is great. You
then he
nailed
just-
it with the score.
And then he just eats so much candy and popcorn. He's like, I'll take that.
for like
and those,
25 cents.
and that,
Dude,
and
God,
a
take me
soda.
back to the times when that was that cheap.
Yeah, I'd
And
go to that
That
porn
was the
theater.
only way theaters.
For sure.
Dude, fuck yeah. I'd go there just for like snacks.
Yeah.
You know, like late at night, insomniac, I'd go get some snacks. Maybe I'll wank off a little bit.
Yeah, that's
You never know.
that's the other thing about it is that's the thing I find most engaging is Travis is dumb.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
just stupid. Nick, go ahead. Sorry, I
Yeah.
cut you off.
No, that's kind of what I was gonna say. Like, I'm so engaged with in Travis in this movie. I gave it a 5 because I'm not like totally sucked in. Like, I think it's really interesting that these two movies both have elements that like pull you out of it, but it's clearly intentional. Like the contortion in in Joker is not like particularly pleasant to watch. Like you don't like fuck yeah, his back is so sexy when it's like that. You know, like, it's not like it's intentional. It's intentionally disconcerting, and I think that you nailed it, Kane. Like the music is supposed to be this jarring, like very bold statement, and it's so different from what you're seeing on screen. But it's not like the most exciting movie I've ever seen. Travis is just a really cool character that I want to watch the whole time. And I really wanted to know where it was going because this is the first time I've seen it. I'm like really behind
yeah.
the times.
Good point.
So I was like, where is this going?
Oh, all right.
Well, I think even like the craziest scene, you know, like what I was really excited to get to is when he blows up, like the killing spree. And I think part of what didn't work as well for me this time watching the killing spree scene is just that it's a little outdated in terms of the way that the other actors are acting in it. Like when the guy's like, I kill you, I kill you, I kill you, God damn it, I kill you. It's like, I don't know, but I will say this, and I don't know if this necessarily goes into engagement, but it's more of like how I view the movie afterwards brings it up in engagement for me, is the ending scene when he kills them and then he does the bloody hand to his head, kind of like fucking kill me, honestly, to the cops. And then you get that sky like pan through the complex and you see the destruction of all of the things that he's been talking about all movie. I think that makes me look back on like how beautiful the fucking like mental destruction was, the deterioration of his character and like what it leads him to.
Right.
Makes me say, oh wow, that was a really interesting movie all the way through. I remember all of this now, and it really puts it into perspective.
Well,
A bloody perspective.
like Travis just wants to fit in. Travis is doing an impression of a person. So like when he walks in to talk to Betsy. Also, the greatest thing about Travis. I'm going to ask you guys this question that you can answer at the end of the show.
No questions. We ask the questions.
I'm sorry, I have it and I'm firing it off.
All right, let's hear it.
But Travis walks in and gives Betsy a bunch of information about her coworker that he doesn't know. He lies
Right.
to get what he wants, right?
Right.
Same thing with when he gets to Iris. He's sitting there talking to Iris about sport and what a degenerate piece of shit he is and how he's a murderer.
He works up this idea of him.
Right.
Yeah.
But Travis has no prior knowledge of that. The only thing Travis knows is that this dude's a pimp and he's pimping out a 12-year-old. So yes, he deserves to die, but he's making up these reasons to make Iris believe that he's her savior. He does it with both Iris and Betsy. Now, Joker, or Arthur Fleck, he lies because he's a victim. He has to lie to himself, to the people around him, so nobody hurts him. So, and then he freaks out, becomes a Joker and all that. So my question to you guys is, who is more dangerous, Joker or Travis?
I mean, Travis has so many guns, and like Joker is like a skinny little bitch with mental issues.
Bitch.
Like, I don't know. Travis is dope. Dude, Travis's mohawk, like, if I saw a guy like that, I'd be, like, so terrified. He could be the nicest person in the world. I wouldn't believe him.
Travis is more dangerous.
Travis is more dangerous.
Yeah.
Hands down.
He's just like, and he thinks of himself as this hero
Yeah,
in the
it's
end.
because
And
of
that's
that.
the shitty thing.
Yeah.
Whereas Joker thinks of himself as, like, dirt in the end.
Well, Joker's
He accepts his place.
Yeah, Joker's a nihilist. He doesn't believe in shit now. He's like, whatever. It's meaningless. If I die now, what?
You brought up a really good point about, like, that I actually forgot about. I think that the movie kind of gets distractingly sidetracked with Iris. Like, I think there's a lengthy scene between her and Sport that is good, but it's not like, it feels like it's taking you out of the movie. Like, it's a whole different movie with her. And I'm going to give it a 5, and that's the only reason why I brought it down from a 6 to a 5, because I actually think it's, and the fact that I don't think it's, like, engaging.
And you gave it a 7, Kane?
Yeah, I gave it a 7. I mean,
Okay.
I'd be all right with giving it a 6 because, I mean, you need to know all you need to know about Iris's thoughts on Sport and who Sport is to know that it's wrong, and but also that this is their life and Travis has nothing to do with it. So you don't need that scene where they're together. Iris seems to be perfectly understanding of her situation. She's much wiser than her years. So. Yeah, I would agree with you. I'm going to make it a 6. Good argument, Gabe.
Boom! Thanks. All right, well, let's move on to our next category. Let's do eye candy next, because I think this will be actually a pretty quick one for both, even though they're both visually great. So let's start with Taxi Driver. Eye candy is where we just talk about the visual elements. Nick, why don't you kick it off with Taxi Driver?
Okay. I don't have a ton to say because I kind of want to hear what you guys say about Taxi Driver. But, like, it has all of these really great, like, the way that it's shot is really unusual, I guess. Like, it reminds me of like, Streetcar Named Desire. Like,
a little bit.
It reminds me of, like, these old-timey movies where it's very simplistic in what you're focused on. But nothing's particularly spectacular. Apparently that fight scene, or not fight scene, but the, like, climactic scene at the end where Travis takes out, all the pimps, the PIMPs, was like really, like I guess it was like this, like, standout scene in the 70s.
Yeah.
So I read that Scorsese showed it to Spielberg, and he was like, that was amazing." I'm like, really? It's not like I don't know how well it ages.
I think
and holds up.
I actually think the everything after that, like the camera going above the
That's cool.
massacre.
That's
I
cool,
like.
Yeah, and there are, like, some really meaningful, like, purposeful shots. The shot of I think Scorsese's favorite shot of in the movie is the shot after, I guess it's kind of during the end of Travis's conversation on the phone with Betsy, where the camera kind of pans away and then it looks down the hallway. And
I love that.
Yeah.
It's so random.
Yeah, and Scorsese describes it as his favorite scene in the movie, or his most important scene in the movie, because
Is it like cognitive dissonance?
it's as if he says it's as if you are unable to continue watching Travis have this conversation because it's too painfully pathetic.
Dude,
So you're like
wow,
looking,
that makes me really.
you're like looking out in a way like, oh man, I can't even watch this anymore. And that's the way
that
he
might
describes
actually
that scene.
bring up the score for me.
And so I gave it a 5 because I don't know how well it ages, but I think it's definitely above average. I just have a question about his hair. I don't understand. Is there, like, are we looking at, because this is like the 4th time I've said this, but it's the first time I saw Taxi Driver. I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
Is there some sort of I'm so pathetic you have to look away and down a hallway?
Yeah, exactly.
What's the deal with his hair? Is there some sort of non-linear storytelling happening? Because he goes from short hair back to, like, medium length hair, and then back to shorter hair, and then to mohawk.
Oh, I didn't notice that it went shorter again.
It does. It goes short,
does go short.
Oh,
medium,
when he's
short.
like training, in his house.
No, the
in
first
his
time you see him with short hair is the awesome scene between him and the Secret Service guy.
Oh,
Yeah,
And then
that's
the
right.
next scene, he's
maybe
back
he
to
just
medium
cleans it.
length.
No, I think he just cleans it up because he goes in public.
But no, it's shorter. Like it's not
Mm.
just clean. Like it looks like he has it looks like he cut his own hair.
Well, that's an interesting. I mean, yeah,
I don't get
didn't
it.
even
Like as
notice
if
that.
there's some sort of, as if that scene where he's talking to the Secret Service agent is actually like later in the movie, but you see it earlier. I didn't quite understand that. It very loosely relates to eye candy, but
No, it does because it is. We do talk about like costuming and stuff.
it can't be an inconsistency. Otherwise, the movie would get a bunch of flack for it.
I mean, it's probably purposeful, considering how much went into this. I don't know. I'm hovering between a 4 and a 5. I think there are good visual things. Like I really like that scene, and now knowing the purpose of that shot is just brilliant
pretty cool.
filmmaking. It's really good cinematography. I remember this movie like not looking great when I first watched it, and I remember being bothered by that. But then, like this rewatch, I actually thought it looked pretty crisp. Like, and it had a lot of Scorsese's shots that he becomes famous for later. The film movement in scenes and stuff, and like focusing on characters, is really smooth, and it's cool. There's one shot. My favorite shot is actually when he's trying out the guns, and he's holding the one gun out the window, and it's following his hand. I love that's actually they do that in Snowpiercer, and even though I fucking hate Snowpiercer, it's a really cool idea whenever they do that. And I don't know. My problem is like I've been watching, and this is like me being like a cinephile, nerdy asshole, like pretentious person, but like I've been watching a lot of movies from even before this movie came out. And I think there are better visual movies. And so I just don't necessarily think it's above average for its time, even though it was on a really small budget, sort of.
Right. Well, I think that lends to why there's so many things. It's dark. It's painted in a very dark light. Like, I mean, eye candy's weird. A weird category for this movie, because when he's out on the streets, he's Travis in the streets.
Travis in the sheets.
Joker in
Travis
the sheets.
Yeah, baby.
But when he's like, when he's stopped at a red light, they close up on his eyes, everything goes red, and he's looking out at, and you're hearing him talk about the filth and how this garbage needs to be washed away, and you sense the evil inside him, and then he gets rejected by Betsy, and he needs to talk to Wizard, so they go outside, and when he goes outside to get some advice from Wizard, he doesn't even know what he's asking. He just
Right.
needs purpose. I mean, that's one of the saddest things in the movie is he's a man who thinks he's destined for something, but he's too dumb to know what it is. So when he walks outside, instead of focusing on trying to get some kind of clarity from Wizard, he notices the streets again, and the streets are now bathed in red. So now his focus is more on his homicidal crusade to clean up the streets. And
Right.
but then when you cut away to his apartment, it's drab and it's ugly and it's like kind of bathed in these greens and sort of beige tints. You know, he's fucking even like the flame off of the gas stove doesn't have any light. Like there's no like dark blues and
It's like dull.
Yeah.
You really you always notice color. I think on Well Actually you talked about Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yeah.
And the red light and the green light with Michael Keaton, and I didn't even notice that, and that's such a brilliant thing.
Oh, it's great.
And an otherwise like a good movie, but not like a movie where I'd be like, wow, they did some like really visually like creative, non-entertaining thing.
Yeah.
But that's such a good point about this movie. I never even really noticed.
Yeah. Next time you watch it,
dullness of
which
the
I
coloring and
I
stuff.
suggest you guys go back and rewatch it again, just to see, and just notice there's a scant amount of color, But when there is color, it's important. Like Betsy is painted in all white. So when you see her, the first time you see her, she's all white like an angel. No one can touch her, right? And then the first time he meets Iris, Iris is different. I think she's got a big white hat on, but Iris has reds and, like, so to make it like she's the Scarlet A. She's the whore. She's the slut. So
this is very clever.
Do you have a reason why
observation.
not Scarlet? That's just what?
Iris
wears two different pairs of sunglasses in her diner scene.
Because she's dope, dude. Fuck off.
She has
She's
green weird glasses and then blue normaler glasses.
Yeah, dude, because she went from green to blue, okay?
Oh, totally.
Stop looking into everything, Nick. Jesus.
Yeah, hey, man, maybe the colors don't mean anything, Nick.
What was your rating for that category, Kane?
Well, because of that, because of
Taxi Driver.
Because of the, how ugly the movie can be, it can be hard to watch. So I gave it a 6, but those times when colors matter, then it bumps it. It keeps it from getting any lower. So color is used sparingly.
I want to rewatch it, and maybe I'd move up to like a 5 or a 6. But for now, I'm gonna stick with a 4. But let's talk about Joker. And I actually I may like rush us through some categories because we're taking some time. But you know what? It's all about the
Kane
conversation,
Holloway
baby.
episode. These take a while.
Kane is so but it's good because we want someone that's very very
fine.
meticulous. Like
Nobody
this
listens
is something
to these.
we
Are
want.
you kidding me?
Listen here, you fuckers, you screwheads. All right, so Joker. Very quickly for me, I'm hovering between 2, and I actually am leaning more toward. So I'm between a 5 and a 6, and I'm leaning towards giving it a 6.
Okay.
I actually don't think, even though it's derivative in certain ways of Philip's inspirations, mainly Scorsese, I don't think visually it's very derivative of anybody. I think it's really awesome that him and Lawrence Sher, who pretty much only made comedies before this, made something so visually beautiful.
Yes.
And I'm really glad that Lawrence Sher was nominated for cinematography. I will say one thing I like that they focus the what he chooses to show you is very clever. The way he focuses on Arthur's shaking legs in certain scenes, like the movement of his hands, certain objects in a room. It's definitely really well directed in terms of visual things. So like I know people were mad that some directors weren't nominated last year and Todd Phillips was, but like at the very least, I mean, Todd Phillips like changed everyone's perspective of him and made something that looks gorgeous. Like he turned a comic book movie into an art film. I will say though, out of last year, and last year is one of my favorite movie years of all time. I don't think it's even like top 8 in terms of like cinematography, just because like visually last year was crazy. But I really enjoy looking at this movie. It's very aesthetically pleasing. So I'm probably going to give it a 6.
Okay. I gave it a 6 as well. I think it has a lot of cool shots. I think the costuming is fun. I don't think it's mind-blowing, so I'm not going to give it a 7. But I like the way that it frames Arthur for a lot of the scenes. And like I just love when like the cinematography is almost like a character, or it's used to augment a character. My favorite scene, just in terms of the shot, is when Arthur climbs into the fridge.
Cool.
And then I think that's when he gets the call for Murray. The Murray Franklin call happens. And the camera, he gets in the fridge, and then the camera walks toward the fridge. Like it's very clearly a man holding a camera. Like it moves.
Switches to a handheld.
Yeah, it's like it's very obviously handheld and walks towards the fridge as the phone rings, and then he gets out of the fridge. Something about that, I was like, that was cool. Didn't notice that in the theater. That was awesome. I loved that.
Dude, what about the like crazy zoom in on him in the comedy show? I didn't even notice that in the theaters.
Ooh.
It's like when he's sitting in the audience of that comedy show, and I don't even understand how they did that shot.
Oh yeah, that's a great shot. That's a damn
Because it
good shot.
moves, it's clearly moving.
Yeah.
It's not just a zoom.
Yeah.
And it moves close to him, but it goes through people. Like, that must have been edited, but it looks beautiful. Anyways, keep going, Nick. Sorry.
No, that was it. That was it for me. I gave it a 6 as well.
That's good. Yeah, that scene. Not to go back to acting, but just I love that. I love Joaquin's face in that scene when Gary Goldman, one of the best comics out there today, is up there, and a lot of comics in this movie, which I loved, and
Yeah, Mark Maron.
and Sam Morrell.
Who's dating Taylor Tomlinson now, right?
Yeah.
That's
and,
crazy.
Chris Redd from SNL was
I didn't even...
Yeah, he was the host of the show when Joker came on.
Oh. I don't like him on SNL. He's a funny person in real life.
Yeah, he's a good dude. He's a funny dude. I've done shows with him. I like
Brian
him a lot.
Callen.
Brian
Oh,
Callen.
yeah, Brian Callen.
Callen is
That's
in
right.
this. Yeah. There's another dude, but I can't remember his name. Anyway, I just love that Joker. I love that Arthur is off from the rest of the audience.
Yeah.
The audience is laughing, and then they stop laughing, and he's like, but I like how he's checking.
And he's looking around and stuff. Yeah, it's so... Dude, yeah. But, yeah, so... And I that visually, that scene is just so great.
Yeah, I love the clown masks. I love the color of the clown masks, and god damn, dude, when he probably one of my favorite. I like his Joker suit the best out of all the Joker
at the
suits.
end.
It's my favorite Joker suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty great.
It's awesome.
And there's two comic book shots. There's two comic book framed shots, and they're both in the alley, and they're both at the end. And one's when he was getting beat up. There's a camera angle that goes from the corner of the alley, and it points down at him getting beat on. And then at the end, when you see Thomas and Martha Wayne and Bruce walk down the alley, there's the same shot. So it's two comic book movie shots to
That's awesome.
let you know this is a comic book movie. So I gave it a 6 as well. And
I think the end with the hallway is a comic scene. In the hallway in the mental ward where he kills the nurse.
Oh yeah,
That's a
yeah.
very comic. That's
Also
a very
too,
comic book movie.
and it's got like a cartoon vibe to it because he's
totally.
running in slow motion,
Running around, yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, I mean, great points. So that's 6s from all of us for Eye Candy.
Cool.
Yes.
Let's move on to next category, Originality, where we talk about how creative the movie was, whether it needed to be made, if it was like adapted from anything, or just in the type of movie it is, and whether it stands out in its genre in those ways. This will be an interesting discussion because I think this is where like a lot of the discussion around Joker is what this movie is and whether it works for people and whether it's like copying.
Yeah. Is it an homage or is it a ripoff?
I personally, I think it's definitely inspired by Scorsese, but I don't really like the idea of saying that it's just a copy of King of Comedy and Taxi Driver, because I honestly think, if anything, it takes those ideas and expands upon them. And that's allowed, and that is a normal thing in movies and in music. And like, I really enjoy, I think the depiction of the main character and his violent and angry descent into madness is like similar, obviously, to Taxi Driver, but I think it's handled in its own way. I wrote down that I found there to be some differences, and like maybe I'll talk about them when we talk about Taxi Driver, because it's like something that really stands out in Taxi Driver. I just don't really think they're that it's similar to King of Comedy, which is a great movie, and I definitely recommend, if anybody hasn't seen it, it's something you should see. It's really funny. It's like definitely Robert De Niro's funniest role.
I'm trying to do this now.
Yeah, dude, I love that movie. But for anybody who took offense to Phillips, like, maybe stealing from King of Comedy, it's like, and Taxi Driver, like, who the fuck are you defending here? Robert De Niro is in this movie. Like, he clearly didn't take any offense to it. Like, who are you? Scorsese loved this movie. I think he was like, he doesn't like comic book movies, so I'm sure he fucking loved this.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was nominated for adapted screenplay because it came from The Killing Joke, and I didn't read The Killing Joke, but I hear it's extremely different.
Yeah.
You know,
It comes from a couple comic book stories. So this idea of,
and it's like amalgamation.
The idea of Joker being on a talk show and going crazy comes from The Dark Knight Returns, when
that's right.
Joker comes out of the insane asylum because Batman has come back, and he says he's all better now. So he goes on a late show, and the late show is like a mix of like a Conan O'Brien and David Letterman guy, and they think he's fine, and then he takes his mug, smashes it on the desk, and cuts the late night show host's throat. So yeah,
and that's where they got that scene.
Yeah, so that scene is in a comic book, and then him wanting to be a comedian and aspiring to be something better comes from The Killing Joke. So
right,
this story also, for anybody out there who loves The Dark Knight, watch Heat.
Yeah.
Watch.
Yo, I'm recording right now, but I don't have it. No worries.
Watch Heat, then watch The Dark Knight back to back. The pacing is the exact same, and Christopher Nolan comes right out and says that The Dark Knight
the opening scene feels so much like the shootout in Heat. Yeah,
the pacing is all the same.
Dude, every movie is derivative of another movie to a certain degree, and it's okay. It's like Thomas Jefferson talked about this in terms of intellectual property, about like, if I light my candle, I will allow you to light your candle off of mine. That's how ideas are shared and spread. That's how we come up with better inventions.
Exactly.
Dude, did not think that Thomas Jefferson would make an appearance in this episode of our podcast.
Hey, what's up, Tommy
or
J,
any
dude?
Episode really of our podcast. That was cool. Good job.
Tommy J is my boy.
Big ETF.
Big TF, dude. Another thing, like, what I think is really creative, and I'm sure you guys would want to talk about it, is the whole idea of his laughter and it being a condition, and the way he does the laughter is like this.
I can't do
I
it.
didn't know that that's what it was going to happen, and they don't even reveal that to you until after the first scene he does it.
Right.
Yeah. All right, Nick. What about?
I just like I gave it a 5. I think that it's not like I mean, it's not the first anything, I think. Like, it's like maybe the first character study of a comic book villain, but I kind of think of it like, what if it wasn't called Joker and it was just called, like, Arthur or something?
And it had nothing to do with
Joker.
Joker.
It had nothing to do with Joker. Wasn't set in Gotham, wasn't set, didn't have anything to do with Bruce Wayne or Thomas Wayne. And it doesn't need to, and it would easily be above average, I think, in terms of how original it is, how it melds all of these ideas that are obviously in other movies that come before it, because like you said, every idea is in another movie that comes before it. Nothing is going to be perfectly original. And I think it would be an above average movie in terms of how original it is. But I don't think it's like this like amazing revelation of a film. There are lots of movies that delve into anti-heroes and the rise of an anti-hero, like Taxi Driver, that have come before it. So yeah, I gave it a 5. That's where I stand.
I honestly, I gave it a 5 as well. And the thing is that, like, I get why people were upset with it because it is Joker. And, like, there are a lot of people that are like, what? He can't be Joker. How is he this big criminal mastermind and stuff? And it's like, get it through your head that this isn't the same fucking Joker that you've seen before.
I also don't think that if this movie, and it won't, I don't think that if this movie continued and there was a sequel and Batman was fighting the Joker, this isn't the Joker. This is
it's a different,
the guy who inspired who would then be the Joker who fights Batman.
That's how I read the movie.
Because
That's
Batman's
exactly
a tiny
how I read
child.
it.
He's like 7 years old. Like,
Yeah, so he would be old as fuck by the
yeah,
time
he'd be
Batman
like a
got big.
decrepit, weird old man that's been in a mental institution for like so long. And he's already like weak and pathetic. Like, what's he gonna? It's not him. He's not the Joker. He's just the
Kane.
Joker in this movie, and maybe an inspiration. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff you can think about, but
Yeah.
if you're like mad at this for being like, how's he a criminal mastermind? It's like, he's not, obviously.
Yeah,
Did you
I think
watch
that's
the
a
movie?
misread of
Yeah.
it. Kane, I forgot that we had done an episode, a Patreon episode for Well Actually, that talked about what happened to DC and where it went wrong.
Yeah.
And you had that funny take about, like, technically Christopher Nolan screwed over DC because he made it so good and then left.
Yeah.
But one question that we always ask in Originality, and I think is, like, necessary here, is, like, did this movie need to be made? And I would argue that it did, certainly for DC, because it made over $1 billion.
Yes.
It changed the idea of what DC could do.
Right.
It's still kept with their "we are overly dark" theme, but it worked.
Yeah.
And I think that if anything, this could show other directors that if you're making a comic book movie or a big budget movie, you could still make it look good and have interesting ideas and make a lot of money.
Yep.
And I kind of cherish the writing for that.
Yeah.
Totally.
Absolutely. I gave it a 6, obviously, because as we've already talked about, as Big ETF has already said, we need to light each other's candle. So,
Yeah, dude. Fucking love him.
touch candles. Let's touch candles.
but with,
Touch candles, baby.
touch my candle. Ow.
Touch my
ow,
candle with your
ow,
candle.
Ow. This movie has to do a bunch of shit. Joker has to do, not only is it paying homage to at least 3 movies from the 70s. You got King of Comedy, Taxi Driver, but you also have Network. You know, the sensationalizing of somebody going crazy. And
Yeah.
So there's
Dude, I love Network, by the way.
Network's fantastic. I'm as mad as hell. And but what's
I'm mad as hell and I'm not gonna take it.
but it also has to make you believe that Gotham is real.
Happening.
Then it also has to get him from point A to point B. That we are all expecting him to get to. And it needs to do that organically. It needs to make us
Yep.
feel for him and then be scared of him. And then
Yep.
it needs to flesh out this world. And then on top, and so it's got to be a comic book movie, and it's got to be good and well written and well shot. Otherwise it's a big fucking failure. And what a bigger testament is the fear it inspired around that the media decided to glorify, to freak everybody out. It was like
Which ended up not happening.
right. It was like Joker was a preview to everyone's reaction to the coronavirus in reverse. Whereas
Yeah.
people were like, they're gonna shoot up the movie theaters. And you're like, but why would they? But
Yeah, I mean,
why
I
would that
think you're just-
happen?
I also think people thought this movie was making a point, and I actually don't think this movie's really making too much of a point, except for, hey, let's be nicer to people that are mentally ill.
Yeah.
Like, let's be more conscious of it, and let's make sure that we have programs in place with enough funding so that they can get the help that they need.
What a great
I mean-
idea.
I agree with you, Kane. I honestly I was close to giving it a 6 with that, but I do think there are some derivative things about it that kind of bring down originality because we have this arbitrary, category for it.
Right.
I'm so sad about
All right,
it.
but it's okay. Well, let's talk about originality with Taxi Driver, which kind of a famous idea that has been expanded upon by other things. Like, obviously it came from some Western, it probably actually came more from samurai movies from Kurosawa, like Lone Samurai, which in turn inspired Westerns, and in turn inspired this, which in turn inspired Joker and shit like that. I honestly think the themes in this movie are so strong.
Yeah.
Urban decay, toxic masculinity, social destruction, the changing of politics over different decades, mental deterioration.
How poorly
It's
we
funny-
treat our veterans. And their
Yeah,
mental
dude. I
health.
mean, that's another thing. Like, but they don't really handle too much about like the veteran stuff, which I would have liked if they'd kind of gone more into. But it's really funny that Paul Schrader and Martin Scorsese got together to make this movie because they were just like, fuck Hollywood. Like, they don't understand us. They don't get the movies we're making. They're not gonna get this. So let's just make what we want to make because we're sick and tired of this society and the people who look down upon us. And then it ended up changing both of their careers forever.
Good.
I pointed out something. I do think there's a big difference between Travis Bickle and Joker, where I don't think that Joker is just straight up copying Travis. I think they're unique in their own way. He more immediately has disdain for his country and social things than Arthur does. Arthur becomes disillusioned over time. He's unstable, but he still wants to believe that things are good, even though he's worried. He's like, is it just me or are things getting crazier out there? I actually think that Travis Bickle is more like Rorschach than Joker. I think Rorschach, the idea of like every night, like the streets are becoming more disgusting.
October 13th, 1945, a comedian dies in the streets.
It's like, that's like basically what, that's like what Travis Bickle is. He's he thinks he's some savior or something. He's going to like help this prostitute, but he's like, this place is disgusting. It's like a swamp full of like our worst intentions and stuff. And I'm just someone floating away in it. And they'll look back at me.
And I'll say, maybe, possibly. I don't know. I'll let you know.
I'll think about it.
You want some pie? I got pie with cheese on top. Man, that sounds good. I've never had that, and it looks really good.
Oh, I know.
I'm kind of into it. Do you know that? Oh man, I forget his name, but a very famous Ed Gein, the
Ed Gein?
Oh, he just killed a bunch of guys. He's a serial killer. That was his. He was like, I'll confess if you give me some apple pie with a slice of cheese melted on top, and the cops
front
were
of a
like,
bunch of-
ew.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Here. And he
Yeah,
was like,
wow,
killed
that's
them all 50 of them. They were like, wow, all right.
This is good pie. I'll tell you
That
right
must
now.
be really good pie. I think Taxi Driver is really well done in terms of how well you sympathize with Travis Bickle, even though like you just can't bring yourself to like really like him.
No.
I still was like, man, like, come on. If you just had like a friend or like someone to talk to, you.
No, honestly, he needs fucking sleep. Like, people
and
don't.
sleep.
My favorite movie ever is Fight Club, and it's like the idea of lack of sleep deteriorating the mind and making you into a lonely, chaotic person is something I've always been terrified of. Like, I have such a it's why I don't sleep. I don't sleep because I'm so fearful of
not
that kind of
sleeping?
insomnia. And it's because I watch too many movies. Anyways, but that's a good point, Nick.
I really think that the ending is original and really cool, and we can discuss it now, but we're going to end up with a 3-hour-long podcast. I think that definitively he is an accidental hero who never really changes, and that's the end of the movie.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's more, the problem. The only thing that's unbelievable is when she gets into the cab. It feels like I don't know if that's real. When she gets into the cab, and it feels like in other movies I've seen that before, where it's someone imagining that because he gets to be the good guy. He gets to be like she kind of likes me now, and so I'm gonna not sleep with her or whatever because I'm better than her.
Or that's what he
That's
thinks.
where I think he's lost his mind.
I think I think is the coolest part of the movie is that both these movies stuck with me after the movie, where you're kind of thinking like,
Totally.
what was going on. And I think that the ending is he did it. All of these things happened, but he hasn't changed. He still could go kill a guy. He could go.
Have you seen Clockwork Orange?
No, I haven't. I'm an idiot.
You should,
I'm the
because
dumbest
that's like
person that's ever
basically the
lived.
plot of
I'm a
Clockwork
piece of
Orange.
human
It's amazing.
garbage.
Yeah, you are really. No, you would love Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, I think Clockwork Orange is Jesus Christ, Clockwork Orange fucked me up when I watched it when I was a kid. I'm like,
oh yeah,
I shouldn't be watching this. I'm too young. And
I
I'm
gave
high.
Taxi Driver a 6. What did you give it, Gabe?
I gave it a 6 as well.
Okay, and Kane?
This is for Legacy.
Originality. We'll do. Legacy
Originality.
in a
I gave it a 6. Yeah, it's
okay.
It's got the cowboy motif. They call him a cowboy. They purposefully shave his head into a mohawk to signal that they're going to war. He's going to war. Travis is a walking contradiction. Betsy spurns him, and it looks like what the person he should go after is Albert Brooks. I mean, he's the most immediate threat. We never actually see the candidate interact with Betsy, but because up here in Travis's mind, he's destined for some kind of greatness. So he's going to go out as a martyr, taking down this guy based on his own inadequacies. And the great scene about him taking Betsy to a porn theater is because he wants to clean up the filth. He himself just doesn't want to be filthy. So if he takes the theater and she's okay with it, then it's not filthy.
Oh, I actually didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and that's why he takes her there. He's like, if I can make it so that Betsy, this goddess I put on this pedestal, a woman he doesn't know and loves automatically from afar because that's how lonely he is he'll just fall in love with the first beautiful woman that walks past his place, and when she gets uncomfortable, he starts to spiral like, well, it's not me. It can't be me. It's got to be her. She's a whore. She's the worst. She deserves to die.
Right.
So I'll kill her boss.
Yeah. I mean, all those themes and the character work with him is just so well thought out. Yeah. I don't know if it's necessarily the most original creative movie, and so I just can't put it at a 7.
Right.
But all right, let's talk about let's finish it up with Legacy.
All right.
Legacy is where we talk about how we talk about these movies in the history of movies, and whether anything stands out or if it's been talked about positively over time. We could start with Taxi Driver here. I mean, I really kitty cat.
Sorry.
I really want to give it a 7, but I don't think I will.
All right.
I don't know. It famously helped Scorsese, like turned him into this like star director. And it's so funny because he just wanted to make it to piss everyone off, and instead they like cherished him for it.
Right.
He still didn't really become a living legend until later, and actually like a lot of movies later. Nominated for 4 Oscars, won 0, but it also went in one of the craziest years. Like it went against, I think it's crazy. I like Rocky a lot. I think it's really crazy that Rocky won over Taxi Driver, Network, and All the President's Men.
That is crazy.
I'm not saying it shouldn't have. I'm just saying that's crazy that that Hollywood decided to do that at some point. The Academy. One thing that's ludicrous, and ludicrous as in the rapper and not the word ludicrous.
Absolutely.
Because they're different, is that Beatrice Straight won for Best Supporting Actress for Network. She won, and Jodie Foster was nominated, which is amazing because she was fucking 12 years old. Yep. Actually, she might not even have been nominated. No, I think she was. She was nominated, and she was 12 years old. Beatrice Straight won Best Supporting Actress, and she was in 5 minutes and 40 seconds of Network.
Wow.
And that movie's like 2.5 hours long.
That's
it's
crazy.
one of the most absurd wins in the history of the Academy Awards.
Academy Awards are nonsense. They're absolute
I
nonsense.
mean, they can be.
I believe in my heart and soul they are.
Ooh, I
mean-
got a story for you guys afterwards, but yeah.
All right.
I mean, I just recently watched Moonlight. Not to diverge, but I finally got around to watching Moonlight. How La La Land and Moonlight were even considered to be up for the same award is absolutely mind-boggling. I mean, I liked La La Land, but the fucking Moonlight.
It's
Dude,
so
I
good.
don't-
It's one of my favorite movies.
I
of
can't
all
get
What
into
the
this
fuck,
right now.
man?
I can't.
I know. I got so mad. You're
I'm
like
mad.
you're bringing up.
You're preaching to the choir.
But Kane, this is one of
I
the
hate
like
that.
one of your opinions that I'm actually so excited that you say that because I don't blame you. I don't understand how anyone could not like Moonlight. It's so fucking good.
It's
but
amazing.
like
So good.
yeah. I'm glad you watched it.
No,
But anyways, talk about Legacy with
Taxi Driver, I gave it a 7. It's an iconic movie. Like I see why now. I don't fully love the movie, but I definitely understand what captured audiences and captured like critics of the movie. It's amazing. De Niro's amazing. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't think
I didn't know you would like the movie that much. I'm glad you did.
I
Actually, I
don't-
kind of figured you would. But I
appreciate
didn't know you'd like
the
it this
movie.
much. Yeah.
I definitely really appreciate it, but I really don't like the soundtrack. Maybe I'll like it the second time. I get it. I get it, but I don't love it.
The score.
The score, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, that's it.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
Yeah, I mean, wait, but I actually, you said you brought up a good point. I respect the movie a lot, but I respect it even more for what it inspired, and I'm actually more into the things that were inspired by.
Right. I only
Taxi
gave
Driver.
it 2 7s. I gave it a 7 in acting and a 7 in legacy because I think that De Niro is amazing and I get it, and I think that it inspired a bunch of stuff. It's Taxi Driver.
Sweet.
Yeah, 7.
What about you, Kane?
7 as well.
All right.
All right.
We'll continue to inspire. It'll be like, I saw this movie, reminds me a lot of Taxi Driver.
Yeah.
And Joker is our last.
Yeah, let's talk about Legacy with
ditty.
Joker. This is going to be interesting because Joker is such a divisive movie, and I actually didn't expect it to be that divisive when I saw it. It was really interesting when it started getting traction, winning that Toronto Film Festival, and being and like winning a ton of cinematography awards before people even saw it. I was like, what? This like new DC movie by the guy who made the Hangover movies is that good? And the thing is like, I don't fully understand why it's so divisive now. Like critics and audience, like it's really, really well liked by audience members, and it's not really that well liked by critics. But it also was nominated for 11 Oscars, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Writing, and it won for actor and score, which are two of the more prestigious awards to win.
Yeah.
So you know Sean Leary, Kane?
Sounds familiar.
He's a comedian. He started Don't Tell Comedy with Kyle.
Oh, yeah. Sean,
Him and
okay.
Anna Simmery.
Yeah. Bald dude.
He posted another fellow Baldman.
Yes.
He posted like a Instagram story that was like, Joker is on HBO if you want to watch a movie with absolutely no likable characters. And I'm wondering to myself, like, why do you need to watch a movie that like has likable characters?
Why would you want to watch a movie with people you like?
Breaking
fuck
Bad?
that.
Breaking Bad, anyone?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's a lot of people. Some people have problems with like the emotional aspects of Breaking Bad because you're not really liking them. I don't know. I really like Jesse.
I love
like
Jesse.
some people felt really awful after they watched this movie. So
I felt
that
like
is
crap after I watched this movie. I did not feel good, man.
this movie
Julie
made
and I drove home
over.
and we went to bed. It was like 10:30, and I was like, I don't like anything.
This movie made over $1 billion. I actually didn't know that you felt that bad after. I thought we talked about it and you seemed like fine. Kane is
I
dead.
feel like crap after this movie.
It's like, I guess if you felt good after the movie, you'd be a fucking
Yeah,
psychopath.
What the hell? You felt great?
I didn't feel. No, I didn't feel great. I
go on
thought
a
you
run
felt fine afterwards. Dude, I watched Joker, jerked off, went to sleep, and like honestly, I felt so sad. I was like, what a day complete. Dude, I can't believe this movie made over $1 billion, and that's got to go on legacy.
Yeah.
This is the most
Absolutely.
successful rated R movie ever,
Ever.
and
In the
it
history of
will
anything.
probably be forever.
Good. I wanted to
crazy.
stay there. Boy. I mean, speaking of legacy, we're on it. But since we're talking about it, you
Hey,
both
speak about the thing that we're speaking about.
Hey, have we touched on legacy yet?
Speaking of,
But the fact that both of you had, I mean, it is funny that it's funny that you said you jerked off afterwards. But whatever you actually felt, Gabe.
No, I didn't feel good afterwards, but it was so interesting.
Right, but
My mind was racing afterwards.
But the fact that you felt that bad actually, I think, adds to its legacy. That
100%.
you felt so shitty afterwards. And as you shouldn't feel all that great walking out of it, because Arthur goes through a lot, only to find out he's not really Arthur, which leads him to realize that nothing is actually the meaning of life. The meaning of life
Right.
is it's meaningless. And
Ooh,
that,
speaking of which, we got to do part 2 to that episode.
yes, we do. But yeah, there is no rhyme or reason to the world. In fact, because of his actions, he creates chaos in the city. So
Yeah.
because of that, he realizes that chaos is the only answer. So just create more. And for him to be triumphant at the end is, and then you walk out and you're like, wow, does anyone have a butter knife I can just like kind of cut myself with? Is a fucking is a point to it.
Yeah, another thing is like I think this movie is going to be part of the conversation for a long time. I don't think this is slipping away from anybody. People like, especially people that don't like this movie, we'll be talking to them a lot. Like my roommate is someone who didn't hate the movie, but he didn't like it that much. And it will be something that me and him could talk about a lot because like at the very least, it's a movie to be talked about. Oh, yeah. And the way it changed like the Academy essentially and the box office is just fucking crazy, and so unexpected. And I love the idea that maybe big time directors are going to make more artsy stuff because they can and they could still make money. Like it doesn't need to be as stupid as The Meg, and it made 2 times as much as The Meg, cost like 1/12 of the budget of The Meg, and it was just more interesting.
Yes.
just a little bit.
Anyways,
though.
yeah.
Did you guys
so
both give it a
I give it a
7?
6.
Oh, you did?
I give it a 6. I can't give it a 7.
6?
7.
I'm not.
7.
Seven.
I gave it
I'm-
a 6. So
Yeah.
all right.
Well, let's add it up.
All right, I have here it is. I sent it in the chat of our Zoom. That is the
Cool.
that's the scores. So
From everyone?
that means that Joker has a 96.
Okay.
Joker has a 96, and Joker's
Damn,
the first
that's a
one.
lot
It's
out
a
of
lot
105.
out of 105.
Yeah. Oh wow, there are going to be some people mad, but Kane is very happy.
Very happy.
I mean, I gave it a 29 out of 35, and I was not expecting
And
that.
amazingly enough, Taxi Driver loses this and gets a 9.
Oh no!
I tanked Taxi Driver's score.
You
for
did.
sure. Which
you
was surprising.
son
I
of
bet
a
you were
bitch.
surprised. And Kane, you had
Yeah.
your stupid opinion of me beforehand. You thought I didn't like Joker. I told you I really like Joker.
Maximum 105, 96 to 90.
Wow.
With Joker.
I mean, both great. I honestly, both great movies. Neither of which are my favorite, and neither of which are my least favorite. It's as simple as that, ladies and gentlemen.
Wow.
Let's move on to our accolade section. Let's give out some fucking awards.
Award time.
Yeah, so let's start it off, Kane. Let's do MVP. Who won these movies for you? Or what won these movies for you?
For Joker, it was obviously Joaquin.
Yeah.
And the scene where we find out that his name isn't actually Arthur Fleck and that he's nobody, was one of my favorite moments in Joker, because that's the core to Joker's story. Is he actually has no idea who he is, and we don't, or he knows who he is, kind of, but we don't know.
Society doesn't.
Society doesn't know who he is. Maybe he doesn't even know who he is. And I thought that was a really beautiful touch. And it's not like expressly said. Like, you kind of have to look for it. That's one of my favorites. And then for Taxi Driver, I gave it to Jodie Foster with an honorable mention to Albert Brooks. I think Jodie Foster has to do a lot of shit in this movie and be
there's
great.
a different award. There's a different award for that for me. Do you have like an MV? Who won like overall between the two? Like, what would you like crown the champ of these movies?
Overall? Shit.
Yeah.
I gotta go Joaquin then. I gotta go.
Yeah,
Okay.
fair enough.
All right, yeah, that's a solid pick. What about you, Nicholas?
If I had to go micro, Joaquin Phoenix. If I have to go macro, I'm going to go with the entire genre of anti-hero movies. Everyone loves.
Fuck,
an
that's good.
anti-hero.
That's good.
It is good.
I was
It
going to
is good.
say the MVP is deranged lunatics who are beaten down by society because they end up winning. But
Sure.
I do like that like on a grand scale, anti-hero movies just became
So
they're just my
good,
shit.
so
I love
good.
that. And shows.
My
LVP,
my
who lost?
LVP?
I say society and all of us living in it.
Damn it. My LVP
Hey, dude, we live in a society.
The systems we have set in place to support those with mental illness.
Yes.
Yes.
You
Actually,
would say that.
the
Email your governors.
the LV
Yeah, true.
Call
Honestly.
your senators. I don't know, man. Whatever.
the
Just-
LVPs for me are the taxi drivers. I mean, with the invention of Uber and Lyft and now the coronavirus, those guys are really hard up for work.
Call your senators.
No, and honestly, they may start killing all of us if we become pimps. So
Yeah,
let's
fuck
become
yeah.
pimps,
Pimping
and
it.
then they'll kill us.
And we got to
Do you
get
have
jacked.
A comeback player. What?
We got to get jacked.
We got to get jacked. I got to get. Oh, I didn't even like. I love
even
that
talk about
montage
that, yeah.
because it follows him eating one of the most disgusting breakfasts I've ever seen someone eat. It's like fucking pieces of bread in milk and sugar and syrup.
Yeah.
And
disgusting.
peach schnapps.
And
And peach schnapps. Yeah,
You
like
forgot
9
the
in the
most
morning.
important ingredient of
Yeah, come on,
That
get
pours that in.
organized.
someone online has to have made that.
Get it.
Get organized.
Do you guys have a?
You know?
Do you guys have a comeback player of the year? Like a performance
Jodie
that grew
Foster.
on you over time? or
Jodie
something?
Foster didn't even realize it was her at the beginning.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, didn't even realize.
I actually have one that's not even a performance. It's like who came back? Clowns, dude. Clowns are back, baby.
Jesus,
Clowns
no.
are back. It 2, Joker.
The clowns in San Bernardino that were just roaming neighborhoods and scaring people.
And another reason why you
back.
should just stay inside right now, everybody.
Yeah.
Do you have one,
clowns.
Kane?
I mean, I guess then Jodie Foster, the same thing, Jodie Foster. And plus, I mean, I'm in love with Betsy. I wish Betsy was a real person, and I would like to take her to a regular movie.
Yeah. I'd like to take her to a porn movie.
Yeah, or whatever.
But like a regular porn movie, not one that was like an avant-garde film or whatever the hell they were seeing.
yeah. That's funny.
You guys have a 6 man of the year, like person who
Albert
did the
Brooks.
most with the least? Oh, yeah. See, this is where I do Jodie Foster because I don't think she had much screen time and she killed it. Ooh, no, Harvey Keitel also.
Oh man, yeah, that's a good one.
Dude,
But-
when he says she's 12 and a half and you could, like, you never felt a pussy so good, I was like, Oh my God.
Yeah.
This man showed up in this movie and was like, fuck my career. He ended up having an amazing career, but he's like, I don't give a crap, dude.
Do you think Keitel went to Scorsese and was like, hey, is there any way we could tone this down? just a smidge. Just
No,
a
he was
little
like, I
tiny
see in the
smidge.
script you've written, she's 14. I'd like to propose we make her 12 and a half. Jeez.
He's like, oh man.
God, dude, that scene, I was
or
like,
what
my
if it was like
skin was just
ad-lib?
crawling every time
What if it
he
was
said
ad-libbed
anything.
with him saying like, oh, she's got a pussy so good, you never felt something so good. And Scorsese just goes, wait,
Whoa,
Cut. No.
Whoa, cut. And then De Niro's sitting here like, okay, look, I'm a really good actor, but I don't know what to do with that.
All right, let's build an all-star team. Pick 5 performances that you would face against any other movie.
De Niro.
I think we're all gonna.
Keitel. Duh.
Yeah, that's my exact one. Fuck yeah.
So I didn't completely understand what we were doing here. So I have a spin-off movie where
I love that.
Wow.
where Bickle and Betsy and Joker and Zazie Beetz' character, they go to Gotham for a couples retreat, and then
What is wrong with you?
secretly Joker and Bickle are gonna they're gonna King of Comedy Murray Franklin, and it's just a like a wacky adventure that turns into one crazy homicidal massacre. And anyway, yeah, so it's like a spin-off of the same thing. It's the same thing, just more
All right,
people.
and that is Kane's all-star team, and that is also Kane's idea. So big Hollywood studios that have been listening, that haven't been disgusted by our conversation, talk to Kane Holloway.
Wait, why me?
Kane, do you
Plug your stuff, man.
Yeah, plug your pluggables.
Yes.
Stole
Please
that
listen.
from another podcast.
Oh. Please listen
Plug it.
to my podcast. It's called Don't Take Bullshit from Fuckers. I do it with the author of He's Just Not That Into You, Greg Barrett. And it's an advice show. People write in, email in, they call in about dating advice or anything that's a fucker in your life that you want to get out. You want to stop taking bullshit. You want to go the Travis Bickle route. Don't do that. We don't advise you to do that. But if you, yeah. So it's a really good show. Check it out. Don't take bullshit from fuckers. And
It's a great podcast.
When does this come out?
Wednesday.
Oh, then the show is already gone. Thanks to everybody who came out to the Nowhere Comedy Club show that I headlined on Tuesday.
That's on Tuesday, right?
Yeah, Tuesday. So thanks to everybody. And then, check out Well Actually, my podcast for nerds who think they know everything about pop culture or pretty much anything.
Yeah, there's something for everyone on that podcast. It's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would also say everyone listen to Kane's comedy album on Spotify or buy it on Apple. Kane's hilarious. I got to go to one half of that live at the Ice House.
Yeah, that's right.
But it was a
That's
great
right.
show. I had a
Thanks,
really
buddy.
fun time.
Yeah, it's called Can't See Straight. I named it after my dad.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Your drunk story is so funny in that. Yeah, definitely recommend anyone to go and check that out. You could also follow us on social media. I mean, like, what's the point?
Cue it.
Yeah, you can follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, instagram.com/facingoffpod. I got some movie recommendations on there. I have some more I'm about to give in a slight second. But also, you can find us on Twitter. And it's twitter.com/facingoffpod. Just look up Facing Off for either of those and you'll find us. Send us emails. Let us know what you thought about these movies. If you thought Joker was just fucking garbage and you thought that my takes on Taxi Driver were just fucking garbage, then send us an email to facingoffpodcast@gmail.com. I also recommend some movies. Go watch First Reformed if you haven't seen it. It's by Paul Schrader, the author or the writer of Taxi Driver. It's really good. Ethan Hawke is amazing in it. You Were Never Really Here, really good Joaquin Phoenix movie. Won't work for everyone, but I love that movie. And then King of Comedy if you haven't seen it. All right, you guys got to send off.
You get what you fucking deserve,
You shitheel.
you fuck.
You're only as healthy as you feel. You're only as healthy as you feel. And that is true for quarantine. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.